Search bars are boring, but you can take the user experience to the next level by making them interactive and animated. Today we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create a stylish animated search bar. Start by creating a new folder and name it wherever you like. I'm going to go with Animated Search Bar. Then create a new file called index.html. If you are Emmet in your code editor, you can type an exclamation mark to build the basic scaffolding of HTML. The title of the HTML document will be Animated Search Bar. Then we build the rest of the body inside the body tag. We wrap everything inside the div with the class container, and then add the title with an h1 tag with the class title. For the search bar itself, we use a form tag, since you probably submit the search to start the search, so it makes sense to wrap it in a form tag. We'll leave action out since we're not actually implementing the search logic in this tutorial. The form tag will have the class search form, and below it the actual input with the class search input. You can name the class wherever you want. This is just my way of doing this for this video. Then we need to add two buttons to start and stop the animation. We will create a custom button component with a div tag with the class search button. Inside it, we will use two icons. For this video, I'm going to use font awesome, and I will embed the link into the head document. We'll use a magnifying glass with the class search icon and an X mark icon with the class search close. With that, the basic scaffolding is done, but now comes the interesting part. We need to style it. I like to organize the files in separate folders. For our CSS, we create a CSS folder and then a style.css file. Inside the style.css file, we will first normalize the CSS. Using the asterisks, we can target the entire document and set margin and padding to 0, and box sizing to border box. I will also use a default font here. In the HTML document, we have many different classes, so let's style them one by one. I want the container to be the entire page that the user can see, so let's set the container class to a width of 100% and minimum height of at least 100 VH. Let's also center everything inside the container with this snippet of code. And finally, add a green background color. The title class is responsible for styling the title of the page. In this case, we set the font size to 2rm, which is equivalent to 2 times the size of the root font. The color set to black and margin button set to 2rm to add some spacing below the title. The search form class is used to style the search bar container. It has a position set to relative, so other elements inside it can be positioned relative to it. The width and height are set to 3.75 rm, creating a square-shaped container, but with the border radius set to 999 pixels, we make it a circle. The background color is set to white, and a box shadow is applied to give it a shadow effect. Then we apply some padding and margin to add some spacing. The search input class is used to style the input field inside the search bar. It has a white background color and no border or outline. The width and height are set to 100% to fill the available space inside the search bar container. The border radius is set to 999 pixels to make it a circuit again. Some padding is added to the left side to create some space between the input text and the edge of the input field. The font size is set to small and pointing events are set to none to prevent interaction with the input field while still allowing the search button to be clicked. The search button class is used to style the search button. It has a width and height of 3rm, making it a square button. But the border radius is set again to 999 pixels to make it a circle. The background color is set to a darker green. The position is set to absolute so it can be positioned relative to the search bar container. The top and left properties along with the transform properties are used to center the button vertically and horizontally within the search bar container. It has a cursor set to pointer to indicate it's clickable. The search icon and search close classes are used to style the icons inside the search button. They have a position set to absolute to position them relative to the search button. The font size is set to 1.25 rm and the color is set to white. The top, left, and transform properties are used to center the icons vertically and horizontally within the search button. The search close class has an opacity set to 0 to initially hide it. Before we can see any of these changes take place, we first must import the style sheet into the HTML document. At this point, the search bar should look like this. When we click the button, nothing changes because we haven't styled it yet. So our next step is to style the search bar. When the search bar is active, we want it to expand. To do this, we create an active search class and apply it to the search form. This class will expand the search bar when it's active. We set the max width to 100% and width to 20 rm, allowing the search bar to expand to the maximum width of the container. This gives it the effect that the search bar grows when it's active. You can make it bigger by adding to the width property. Inside the active search class, the search button class is also modified. The left property positions the search button at the rightmost edge of the search bar with a small margin. In search input, we set the pointer events property to initial, which allows interactions with the input field when the search bar is active. This means that users can click into the input field to enter search terms. The search close class within the active search class modifies the close icon. The opacity property is set to 1, making the close icon visible when the search bar is active. The search icon inside the active search class modifies the search icon. The opacity property is set to 0, which makes the search icon invisible when the search bar is active. This is used to hide the search icon when the close icon is displayed. Applying the active search class to the form triggers all the other styles, which is responsible for the animation effect. Now, if we add the active search class to the form tag, the search bar will expand and the icon will change to a close icon. But when we click the button, it won't collapse again. This is because we didn't add the logic behind it. This is where we need JavaScript to target the active search class when we hit the close icon, or submit the search with enter. Create a new folder called JS, and inside it create a main.js file. We will create a function called target search to handle the logic. Start by selecting the search form, search input, and search button. The next step is to add an event listener to the search button. When the search button is clicked, the active search class on the search form element is toggled. This class is responsible for expanding and collapsing the search bar. We also need an event listener that is attached to the search input field to listen for the enter key being pressed. The default form submission is prevented with e.preventDefault. The search input value is cleared by setting search input.value to an empty string. Finally, the active search class is removed from the search form element, collapsing the search bar. The final step is to call the target search function, which sets up the event listeners and defines the behavior for the search bar when the script is being loaded. Add a script tag to the index.html file inside the body tag so that the script can be loaded. With this, the expanded search bar is complete, but there's no animation. So let's add two transition properties, one in the search form that will animate the width property and one in the search button that will animate any changes to the button. And that's it. You've successfully created an animated search bar using only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can now connect the event listener to a search API to add real search functionality to the search bar. But that will be beyond the scope of this tutorial, so I'll end it right here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.